The time by Caracris is 6 p.m. and this is CBX Business News. The business news headlines are brought to you by QMax Wealth Management, making more possible. Bond market access expands, electricity prices set to rise, and oil surges on conflict risk. Good evening and welcome to CBX Business News for Thursday, April 2, 2026. I'm Rashel Moncrieffe. Thanks for joining us. Coming up, Jamaica's finance minister says the secondary bond market is now open to small investors, removing the $1 million entry barrier. Also ahead, Grenada Electricity Services Limited warns electricity prices are set to rise in the months ahead as cost pressures build. And later, WTI crude oil jumps 13%, holding near $108 a barrel as escalating Iran conflict risks threaten global supply. Stay with us as we unpack these stories and more right after the break.
We're here to open a savings account for my son John. I really want him to start saving and managing his own money.
And I need for Safe to visit my father in New York.
Okay, based on what you said and our risk assessment, he will qualify for simplified customer due diligence requirements. I'll need your ID, proof of income, TRN, and John's ID as well.
Okay, here you go.
Opening an account is easier than you think using simplified customer due diligence requirements, also called CDD.
We get it! We get the big contract! 50,000 units a month for 3 years! Great! Won't need help.
If you are a business owner that requires capital for the expansion of your business, talk to a registered broker today to find out more about listing your company on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, an efficient alternative to other financing options.
Thank God for the Jamaica Stock Exchange Junior Market.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange, providing a fair, efficient, and transparent stock market.
The local news is brought to you by Derrimon Trading, better from the start. The Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments. Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with a breakthrough that could open new doors for everyday investors across Jamaica. Finance Minister Favour Williams says a major shift is now taking place in the country's investment landscape, one that could open the door for thousands of Jamaicans to enter the bond market for the first time. In an exclusive interview with CBX Business News at the launch of the JSE GOJ bond trading platform, Williams says the move effectively dismantles what has long been a $1 million barrier to entry, allowing smaller investors to access GOJ securities through brokers in amounts aligned with their portfolios.
What is important is that you'll be able to buy the quantum, the amount that your pockets and your portfolio can afford. Before now, it's big trading in Government of Jamaica securities. You had to have a few $1 million before you could go. And I know now that the brokers are very innovative. They're going to ensure that their clients can access Government of Jamaica securities in the size and amount that best fits their portfolios.
She says accessing government bonds will soon be as simple as buying stocks.
Ordinary Jamaicans would do so by way of a broker, in much the same way that you use a broker now to access the stock market. Similarly, you'll be able to use a broker to access the bond market.
That was Jamaica's Finance Minister Favour Williams. And that shift is already beginning to take shape. A major transformation is underway in Jamaica's capital markets as the Jamaica Stock Exchange JSE moves to bring more everyday investors into the government bond market. JSE Group CEO Livingston Morrison told CBX Business News that at the center of the new trading platform is a push to make investing more seamless and accessible, giving Jamaicans a clearer pathway to add local fixed income instruments to their portfolios.
We're working on an initiative now to make it more seamless for the average investor in Jamaica to be able to add Jamaican instruments to their portfolio. So stay tuned.
Morrison says this platform addresses key structural weaknesses in the previous system.
It had to do with access and settlement. Previously the players negotiated their transaction on a bilateral basis from institution to institution and so on. And I think, in all fairness, the security dealers played a tremendous role in facilitating their individual clients. As the minister says, that's good, but it's just not good enough. It's opaque. The price discovery mechanism is frustrated, and just the transparency associated with, and by extension, all the benefits associated with a transparent system is lost to Jamaica.
That was JSE Group CEO Livingston Morrison. At the same time, the Bank of Jamaica BOJ is positioning itself as a key player in Jamaica's newly launched GOJ bond trading platform, but strictly on the secondary market. Governor Richard Biles made it clear to CBX Business News that the central bank cannot participate in the primary market. Instead, the BOJ will step in after issuance, actively buying bonds once they begin trading.
Speaking for Bank of Jamaica, we very much welcome it because we are one of the large institutional buyers of government bonds. We can't buy in the primary market because that would be seen as funding government. But we can buy in the secondary, and we will.
Biles says the platform should attract more retail investors and widen participation.
Many retail investors will appreciate the price discovery, the transparency, and the liquidity in the market, and they too will participate quite significantly.
That was BOJ Governor Richard Biles. In other news, Jamaica's trade imbalance is deepening, with new data showing a sharp widening in the country's import bill. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin Director General Leisha Delati-Badir reports that between January and November 2025, total imports climbed to $6.8 billion, far outpacing export earnings of just $1.5 billion. That has pushed the trade deficit to approximately $5.3 billion, highlighting a growing imbalance in Jamaica's external accounts.
For the period January to November 2025, revenue from total merchandise exports amounted to $1,541 million, while imports of goods were valued at $6,848.2 million. Relative to the corresponding period in 2024, earnings from total exports declined by 11.1%, largely due to reduced revenue from crude materials excluding fuels.
That was Statin's Director General Leisha Delati-Badir. We move to the latest updates from the JSE equities. In Thursday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 122 stocks, of which 50 advanced, 46 declined, and 26 traded firm. Leading the winners are 138 Student Living Jamaica Variable Preference, ISP Finance Services, Mayberry Jamaican Equities, and Paramount Trading Jamaica. While leading the losers are G West Corporation Ordinary Shares, Sagicor Select Funds, Manufacturing and Distribution, Berger Paints Jamaica, and Salada Foods Jamaica. The main index declined by 1,620.11 points to close at 344,467.04 points. The junior market index advanced by 17.02 points to close at 3,382.01 points. It's time for the Market Education feature, brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards. Continuing our investment education series, today we're looking at the importance of having an exit plan. An exit plan is a strategy for when and how to sell an investment. For assets with a fixed maturity date, the exit may simply be at the point or when a financial goal is reached. For other investments, an exit strategy could involve selling when a target return is achieved or when prices fall to a set level to limit losses. Having a clear exit plan helps investors stay disciplined, protect gains, and manage risk effectively. That was the Market Education feature, brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards. And that's it for the local news segment. Please stay with us. The regional news is up next. The local news is brought to you by Derrimon Trading, better from the start. The Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, Tease the Senses, and Pulse Investments.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the QMAX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why QMAX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
If it were not for the Jamaica Stock Exchange listing, Phosphate Company Limited would not be where it's at today. I called them, they listened to my concerns and my fears, and they gave me the answers. All the fears I had about banks, about losing control, you are having them. And I tell you, they were dissipated when I spoke to the Jamaica Stock Exchange. This is one of the best decisions I have ever made in business. If you want to change the trajectory of your business and to grow, make that call today to the Jamaica Stock Exchange. You will be glad you did.
It smells so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It smells so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah.
Welcome back. And now for the regional business news. Belize's economy expanded by 4.7% in the final quarter of 2025, driven by broad-based growth across key sectors. Data from the Statistical Institute of Belize shows total output reached nearly 1.4 billion Belize dollars, up by more than $63 million compared to the same period a year earlier. The expansion was supported by stronger performance in agriculture, fisheries and services, including trade and financial activities. Agricultural exports improved, while services continued to drive overall economic activity. Government revenue also increased, with taxes on products rising 4.6%, signaling higher levels of commercial activity. The figures point to continued momentum heading into 2026, with full-year results expected to give a clearer picture of economic performance. Rising global fuel prices are now set to push electricity costs higher in Grenada, adding pressure on households and businesses. Grenada Electricity Services Limited (GRENLEC) warns that electricity costs are set to rise in the coming months. In an official release on Wednesday, GRENLEC Chief Executive Officer Leroy Abraham says small island states remain highly exposed due to their dependence on imported fuel.
All of us are seeing that the current geopolitical tensions and ongoing global conflicts are causing fuel prices to increase. The majority of electricity in Grenada is produced using fuel, and as fuel prices increase, this will be reflected on the fuel charge component on customers' bills.
Abraham says the impact is also being felt more broadly, with higher fuel and shipping costs driving up everyday expenses across the economy. Customers are now being urged to conserve energy to help manage rising bills.
We understand that this is a challenging time for all of us, as fuel and shipping costs increase, and is felt not just in electricity, but also at the gas pump and in the cost of everyday goods. That's why the focus now is on what you, or valued customers, can do to reduce your energy costs. It really comes down to making lifestyle changes and adjusting everyday habits, using only what you need, turn off lights and other equipment when not in use, and getting everyone at home and at work involved.
That was GRENLEC CEO Leroy Abraham. In financial news, the West Indian Tobacco Company, WITCO, is reporting a sharp drop in profits for 2025 as lower sales and higher costs weighed on performance. The company posted net income of 109.8 million Trinidad and Tobago dollars, down 36% from 172.3 million in 2024. Revenue also declined by 19% to $507.4 million, reflecting weaker market conditions despite improvements in sales momentum towards the end of the year. At the same time, profit before tax fell by more than $100 million, or 38%, to $168.2 million, highlighting the scale of the decline in earnings. The company says it is now focusing on product innovation, strengthening its market strategy, and expanding both domestic and export sales to support future growth. Meanwhile, shareholders are set to receive a final dividend of 21 cents per share, lower than the previous year, as the company adjusts to the decline in profits. It's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 21 securities, of which 6 advanced, 5 declined, and 10 traded firm. Today's winners are the West Indian Tobacco Company, National Enterprises, Unilever Caribbean, and Trinidad and Tobago NGL, while leading the losers are Massey Holdings, JMMB Group, Grace Kennedy, and First Citizens Group Financial Holdings. Trading activity resulted in the following movements. The All TNT Index declined by 3.19 points to close at 1,334.96. The Composite Index declined by 2.16 points to close at 929.69. The cross-listed index declined by 0.15 points to close at 69.44. The SME index remained at 91.16. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment is up next.
Are you a business owner ready to grow your business through content? Or are you a content creator who is ready to transform your platform for real profit? Then you need to be at Grow Your Wealth 2026, hosted by Learn, Grow, Invest. On April 18th, we're bringing together entrepreneurs, creators, and industry experts for a powerful one-day experience under the theme Grow Your Business Through Content Creation. If you're serious about growth in 2026, this is your room.
Vesco started from 5 shareholders who believed that they could execute a fuel company as good as or as better than any multinational. The director shareholders always believe that the dealers within our network should be owners of the company. They believe that staff should be owners of the company. And specifically also believe that the public should become shareholders. That cannot be facilitated by a bank loan. Our experience so far has translated into additional customers. Our transparency has allowed us to access credit easier and at better rates. So if you're a private company thinking about growing your profits, having better access to capital, I really think you should consider listing on the junior or the main market. Go ahead, have that conversation as soon as possible. We did it and we're very happy.
Welcome back. In international news, WTI crude futures pulled back slightly to around $108.80 per barrel on Thursday, after surging more than 13%, keeping prices near their highest level since June 2022. The dip followed reports that Iran is working with Oman on a monitoring system for traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, raising cautious optimism about oversight of one of the world's most critical oil routes. Despite that, prices remain firmly supported by escalating geopolitical tensions. U.S. President Donald Trump warned the conflict with Iran could extend for weeks and signaled increased military action, fueling fears of prolonged supply disruptions. At the same time, the UK is leading talks with international partners to secure the shipping lane, while OPEC Plus is weighing a potential production increase. However, any additional supply is not expected to significantly ease market tightness in the near term. And those rising oil prices are now feeding directly into currency strength. Gold prices tumbled nearly 4% to about $4,600 per ounce on Thursday, snapping a 4-day rally as a stronger U.S. dollar and rising oil prices weighed on the market. The decline followed renewed escalation signals from U.S. President Donald Trump, who said the U.S. had nearly accomplished its objectives but gave no clear timeline for ending the conflict, raising concerns that inflation could remain elevated and interest rates higher for longer. In a separate address, Trump warned that military strikes on Iran would intensify over the next 2 to 3 weeks, while Tehran rejected claims it had sought a ceasefire, maintaining control of the Strait of Hormuz through the IRGC Navy. A stronger US dollar, driven by safe haven demand, added further pressure on gold, contributing to an estimated 13% decline since the conflict began on February 28. Meanwhile, as global energy markets remain under pressure, countries are stepping in to secure supply and support regional stability. India is reinforcing its role as a key regional energy supplier, highlighting continued fuel support to neighboring countries while balancing domestic demand. Speaking at a government briefing, Minister of External Affairs Randir Jaiswal said India has been supplying energy to Bangladesh since 2007 under long-standing commercial arrangements. He also confirmed that India recently delivered 38,000 metric tons of petroleum products to Sri Lanka following a formal request.
On Bangladesh, as you would have seen, we continue to supply energy requirements to them since 2007 as per the commercial engagement that we have with them. We've also recently supplied fuel to Sri Lanka, 38,000 metric tons of petroleum products based on their request.
Jaiswal added that India remains in contact with Mauritius and Seychelles regarding their energy needs, though no formal supply requests have been made.
We also remain engaged with the governments of Mauritius and Seychelles on the energy situation in these two countries. We have not received any request for them as yet.
That was India's Minister of External Affairs spokesperson Randir Jaiswal. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. The news recap is coming up on the other side of the break.
Caribbean flavors and fragrances. It started out as a small family-owned business, and now we're a part of a large group of companies. Being listed on the stock exchange allows us a certain prestige. It also speaks to accountability and transparency. We had some fears about getting our information in the public domain, but once we contacted the Jamaica Stock Exchange, who have the knowledge and the experience to guide us, we were comfortable with getting into the process. If you have any doubts about being listed, just give the Jamaica Stock Exchange a call. They'll be very happy to take you through the process and also provide you with information that you may need. Make that call now.
And now to recap our top stories. In the local news, bond market now open to small investors, ending million-dollar barrier. Regionally, Grenlec warns electricity prices set to rise in months ahead. And internationally, WTI surges 13%, holds near $108 as Iran conflict risk grows. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Rashel Moncrieffe. Thanks for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.
The Caribbean Business Exchange now presents a local feature from the Jamaica Information Service. Pleasant viewing.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I am Adrian Atkinson and I'll be your guide on today's journey. We